I wanted to go ahead and get started. So again, I'm just going to thank everybody again for being here. I'm Sherry Lucas. I'm the director of Go Local Asheville, and I'll just say how appreciative we are that you're taking the time out of your schedule to come and listen and learn and ask questions about what you're going through and where we are. What is this now, 5-6 weeks out of Helene? These are our partners, and last time I listed them, and I'm just going to leave them here for just a second. It's a big thank you that there's a lot of community-based organizations that are here to support you, our local independent and local small business community here. Very grateful for everyone that is helping to move us forward in our business community. A big thank you to Mojo Co-working. This is the 4th session we've had. They're accusing us of being squatters here now because they continue to very graciously give this space free to be able to share information with you. And a big thank you to 828 News Now, who is also live streaming. And for those of you who are viewing on live stream, we appreciate you also being here with us. It has helped get the word out about some of the information that we're sharing through these meetings. We have a packed agenda today, so I'm not going to do many more opening remarks. We have just so many people from our community here that have great, current, very relevant information for you. We're going to start actually with the city update and then move through. Ben Woody is here, and Clay Chandler is going to give up-to-the-minute update on water, and then we're going to move in to talk about potable water solutions, and Liz Button's going to do that conversation, as well as giving grant information from what AIR, the Asheville Independent Restaurants, are doing, as well as AIR updates. And then Christine Lautcher from Mountain BizWorks will be giving an update on a new grant that just went live, I think, yesterday or this week. Can't believe it's Friday. Do you look back and even know what day of the week it is? Anyway. And then we have Tiffany Thacker and Dodie Stevens here from Explore Asheville to give a grant update and also a marketing update. And then we have Casey Gilbert with the Chamber, who's going to be talking about an initiative called Mental Health Mondays. I think it'll be very interesting and informative for all of us. Then Hayden is going to give an update on the Downtown Association. And then we have Jacob Vanderweide from 828 News Now that'll just be giving a short state of the races in the 828 update. And then we'll just close it out. So with that, one other thing, sorry, I did put up these QR codes. Last week I put up the first 2, and now the third one is actually the recovery update was from the session last week. It's on YouTube if you haven't had a chance or weren't here last week and would like to know what those conversations were about. That's when we had Josh Stein here and when we had the insurance commissioner, Mike Causey, here last week. So if you weren't able to attend last week and would like to go back and take a look at that, it's up there. And I'm going to do a shout out to Shantae back there in the corner, who is running our live stream today. Thank you so much, Shantae. So appreciative of the professionalism and what you're doing to make sure that as many people as possible hear about these updates. So I'm going to turn it over to Maggie, and we'll go ahead and get started with a city update.
Buddy, first, who's open? Oh my gosh, you guys! Yeah. Yay! I know this is not easy. I know that being open is not as much of a victory as you want, because you're probably doing that with painstaking costs and shoestring staff. I understand that, but a personal thanks from me. Last night, I went trick-or-treating downtown with my 10-year-old. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be cool, but she was definitely like, this is the best Halloween ever, which like you all helped make happen. It was really meaningful, I think, as a citizen, coming downtown and going out to eat. Oh God, like feels normal again, and so you're doing that for us. And it's very hard for you. So, you know, a lot of people thank us as elected leaders, and I'm definitely working my tail off, and I'm happy to do it. I'm gifted, I'm thankful to do it. But I think that the type of thing that you're doing by like muscling through to reopen is helping the rest of the community. So really, really grateful for that. And thanks for all the two things I want to give updates on, although we are about to give very exciting water update, so I'm going to be very quick, is one, we are putting in motion contracts so we can do commercial waste removal for you. Now, if you're like up Merriman and you want to get rid of your garbage, we're not talking about you, but like you're in the river district and you repository for river junk, we are going to help you. And that has been a question mark. We haven't been sure what the contract status is and how we're going to do that, but that is officially in motion, that we are going to make sure that that is not all on you. It won't be today, but that is now officially in motion. Something I've been hearing increase last 9 problem. So yay. The second is at 11 o'clock, my peers on the county commission are having a special meeting, and they will be awarding money for small business grants as well as other direct aid. So stay tuned later this afternoon for the briefing, but just like we pulled together on October 22nd at the city, open up any money we could for a first round, our peers at the county all this also. So more money every day. There's more grant funds available, and we're still working our butts off to get money from the state and from the feds for that purpose as well. And I'm going to cut there because I want to hear from
And I'm just gonna, my slide is I have Ben on the slide and found out also Clay will be here today. So I'm gonna let these two gentlemen come up and then talk about how they're gonna tag team. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not gonna talk a lot. I just wanna, Ben Woody, Assistant City Manager, thank you for being here today. I know how hard it's been, all the business challenging. Probably your personal life has been challenging as well, so I can't imagine what you're. I think we're on day 30 something of recovery, so it's been a while. Originally, when we first found out the destruction to the water system, I was kind of the person that went to those early press briefings, gave the community updates. I think everybody probably understands the severity of what happened to the water system. And also, I hope you appreciate, as hard as it's been for you, I know our city employees and contractors have equally hard because they've put in the days and they too have personal. I don't say that to diminish what you're going through. So really, I'm going to stop there. Once the distribution system kind of got put back together, which is still amazing to me, we were able to do it that quickly. Clay's really taken over the briefings, and Clay gives like a science lesson a couple of days a week. It's amazing how complex it is, but it's also amazing, Clay, how you're able, in my opinion, to explain it in a way that we all I think we're all water experts, right, to some extent. So, but Clay's going to give you an update. He did a briefing yesterday, a lot of good information, but he's got new information today, so you're going to be the first to hear it. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm going to turn it over to Clay.
Thank you, Ben. All right, so to sort of pick up where we are, Ben mentioned the extreme damage that started pumping water 2.5 or so weeks ago, and right after that started the in-reservoir process. Come to know about the turbidity curtains were installed earlier this week. Treatment concluded yesterday afternoon. The latest turbidity measure we have is 19.8. That's the first 20 since the storm. Still averaging 6 to 7 tenths per day drop. Really hopeful that the second round process up or between 1.5, 2, and 2. So I think by the next community briefing, how effective treatment process. Now, I mentioned before that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers headed with us, I think 3 weeks now, and they have been working on all alternative treatment solutions for North Fork. Reminder that North Fork's filter cannot handle, especially turbid water. It will damage them, which is sort of weird because the pristine water, crystal clear water we normally push out of North is working against us. So the filter upgrades that would allow us to treat the water as is now have been a part of our strategy for several years now. Very cost prohibitive, around $101 million. Water resources and operating budget, $40 million, that sort of problem. Speaking of math problems, the Corps of Engineers notified us late on, it was actually, they have come up with, they think, solution to treat about 25 million gallons of water a day. That's enough volume to push water into the potable water to the system at a rate that will flush all the non-potable water out. And so they really couldn't begin work on that until sort of a bureaucratic term. All come to a couple of weeks, receive their mission, right? And so that happened Wednesday afternoon. There was a gentleman in town that had stars on his collar and like had the mission button that he could push. And on Wednesday afternoon, he pushed the button. About a 35-day build out process, 3 days into it. So that puts our target at pushing enough potable water out of North Fork to not only meet demand, flush the system right around Thanksgiving is 28th. We're all very happy about that. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. That's the first round of applause I've gotten this whole thing. I'm usually the bad news guy. So that puts operations start around November the 28th, Thanksgiving Day. Obviously, that is not totally precise. It could be November 27th. It could be November 29th. But that is the best news we have received since all of this started, other than like being able to push water into the system for things like basic sanitation. So our work with them will continue to give you like a very high level of what this operation will look like. On the dam at North Fork is 1/16 of a mile long or something like that. There will be multiple what they call portable filtration units set up there. I don't know how many. It'll be at least a dozen, I would think, just because of the volume involved. And we will have to pipe from each of those filtration units into what we call our clear well. And our clear well is just like a couple of million-gallon tank that we fill. And for example, when North Fork went out the day of Helene, that clear well kept people in water for a couple of hours because there's just so much water in there. And so that portable filtration thing will pump water to the clear well, send it through our normal filtration processes, and get you the pristine water that you have become accustomed to as a City of Asheville water customer. That's number one. Number two is since Wednesday, the day the magic mission button got pushed, we have been pushing filtered water out of North Fork at a rate between 10 and 15 million gallons a day. Now, technically, it is potable until it hits the pipes and mixes with the water that we're also still pushing out of the reservoir that we're just adding chlorine to. So that blending process helps us primarily to start to reintroduce corrosion control to our water pipes. It includes things like orthophosphate and sodium bicarbonate that sort of build that protective barrier on our water pipes. So that was a very, very important step. Corrosion control had not been, been able to be used since before the storm. So the pipes went probably 4-ish weeks without any kind of corrosion control, which is not long enough to cause an issue. But since we were able to, and the turbidity in the reservoir had reached a point where we could run a very limited amount of that water through our filters, we were able to reinstitute corrosion control. I know that's a very nerdy thing to talk about, but when you're talking about a water system, corrosion control is very, very important. So we think now that the Army Corps of Engineers has their mission, has their marching orders, so to speak, we will start to see equipment arrive at North Fort to build the portable filtration operation next week, late next week. 35-day build out. They're about 3 days into it. And so we are shooting for Thanksgiving, November the 28th. Thank you.
If you just would stay up for a minute, does anybody have any questions for either Clay or Ben or Maggie?
Clay, does that include the complete flushing of the pipes, or is that another period of time that we are?
That will again, let me get at the mic. Yeah. So that will sort of kick off the flushing process. Being able to push blended water filtered water into the system now to blend with the raw water from the reservoir, hopefully will shorten that flushing process, because you're not, some of the system will have technically potable water, although it'll be mixing with raw water from the reservoir. But having that potable water or cleaner filtered water into the system hopefully will shorten that flushing process.
So would that mean that a 2-week flushing process after November 28th?
That's likely what it means, yeah. Yeah.
And so what this means is,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
we have a plan A.
Plan A
Plan
was,
turbidity,
yeah, well, actually,
We're
Plan
executing plan B at the same time.
Plan A was to not restore water service until it was potable. We quickly got rid of that. Plan B is what we're doing now, pushing the raw hyperchlorinated water straight out of the reservoir into the system. The in-reservoir treatment process was probably Plan B and C. And the Corps of Engineers, their portable filtration unit is Plan D.
So Clay, would the weather interfere in any way with this process?
That's a very good question. We do not need another windstorm. There is nothing worse for turbid water than for the surface to be pushed around by wind and start everything else up again. Now, the rain that we're getting today will be very, very helpful, because it's falling straight down, it's gentle, it's not going to produce any kind of runoff or anything like that. And so pray for no wind. And no heavy rainfall either. It can't be heavy rainfall, it has to be like it is today.
Does anybody else have any questions? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Maggie. And so I'm going to now turn this over to Liz Button, who is chair of the Asheville Independent Restaurants, to discuss potable water alternatives.
Yeah, alternatives. I, as it was raining this morning when I woke up, I was like, oh God, is it coming straight down? Is it light? I mean, I've never been so worried about rain before. So anyway, thank you, Clay and Ben, so much for all that you are doing and keeping us updated in a very understanding way, clarifications. So now, in my mind, as a previous business owner, restaurant owner, I'm thinking ideally mid-December, if we go through this whole process and it works successfully. So with that in mind, we have some providers of water here, and I want to make a couple of points clear. AIR is not endorsing anyone. All we're doing is we are accumulating information and presenting it back to you to make your own decisions about what you want to do. Whether you want to use one of these contractors or not is totally your decision. The other thing I will add is that in order to serve potable water, it has to be approved by the county. So just make sure that any provider that you're using, that the water has been certified by the Buncombe County Department of Health and Human Services. So with that said, what I'm going to do is introduce each of these gentlemen that are here today. We have 4 companies that are represented today. We have a handout that is up there at the front desk that has more providers on there, just for your information and contact information. So what I'm going to ask them each to do is to speak for up to 3 minutes and just explain what their process is. If they have pricing they can share now, that would be great. If not, you can get it later. But let's do 3 minutes, and then after they all present, we'll have a few minutes for questions from anyone. So first, I'm going to ask Gary Ely. I think he's also AKA the Donut Man, with EnviroServe to come up and speak. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you for outing me as the guy with the donuts this morning. Thank you guys for having us here this morning. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So word from my friends and folks in Charleston is we have much empathy for your position. We've been there. And thank you for your time this morning. Just briefly, EnviroServe, we're a full-service environmental company. So really, doing potable water is not generally the first thing that we think about when we think about our services. We've been fortunate enough to be able to react quickly to some of the situations that you've had here. We've started working with Buncombe County with some potable water on the Sunday after Helene passed, and are still here doing that. You know, we were asked to look at some alternatives for those of you that have some needs in specifically the restaurant business and maybe some others. We're a national company. My particular company, my ops manager, Jonas Hughes, is here with me. We're based in Columbia, South Carolina. We will probably have to approach what we do with restaurants a little different than when we do some of the larger locations. As far as being able to share pricing, no way to do that. Everything we do will probably pretty much be site-specific. You guys are kind of like my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina. Every little site you have is individual with space and access. I will say this, our company is based out of Utah, and I want everybody to know from our standpoint, the margins that we look at with work we're doing with this are like every margin that we use anytime. We're not looking at this as a situation to capitalize. We're looking at it as a situation to help and to heal your community in doing some of this work. I will say this real quickly. All of the water that we've used so far in this project comes from Hickory's water system, Hickory, North Carolina. So that's where we're bringing the water in from, just in case anybody's kind of wondering about that. I learned a few things listening to your city managers here this morning about this process. It sounds pretty daunting, but we have a short time to speak, so we've got some bags that we just grabbed this morning to bring that has a little bit about our company. Y'all please feel free to grab those. And I'll be here after the meeting if anybody wants to talk to me individually. I have my business cards here, and you know, we can share with each other a little bit more detail about what your needs are, and that's it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So much. Exactly.
Yeah, I know, it was good.
I've got mine.
Oh, good. Then I'm going to turn mine off. I'll let you do that. Okay, so next up, in no specific order, is Bobby Moody, who is working in coordination with the Sheffer Group. So, Bobby?
morning, everybody. So I just want to briefly talk about the technical stuff a little bit before we bring Eric up here. So we kind of started with the World Central Kitchen, and I know I've met with numerous people in this room already in the last 3 weeks. We set up a lot of those locations to get food service to the community, bottled water filling stations set up throughout the streets of Asheville, along with even Boone, Banner Elk, Lake Lure. We were dropped in quite a bit on those locations. But we've quickly realized within, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks even, that it was going to transition from a survival mode to now, okay, how are these businesses going to get open? And so we kind of put boots on the ground from day one in that endeavor, trying to figure out what's the best way we can get water. I've had multiple meetings with city council members trying to figure out, is it a filtration system, chlorination system, is it an RO system? Can we do that? And most of that was just not feasible for either a time constraint or obviously cost. So we kind of partnered with, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 local businesses. We started off by doing just a regular 1,500 gallon holding tank or a 2,500 gallon tank. And then I was approached by the Schaefer Group to kind of partner with them on a bigger scale as to how we can get a lot of these restaurants up and going. So we provide the tank, the pump, winterization for that system so it doesn't freeze coming up, UV light, which is absolutely needed because even though the water's coming in as potable, once it sits there, it becomes non-potable. So any stagnation water that's in there, it needs to be treated. And we do all that for a service. We have that presented to them. Schaefer Group can probably present that a little better than me. But yeah, so I just want to let you know that Moody Plumbing has been here since day one working with you guys. We feel you guys' pain for sure. We hear that every single day. And Eric, if you want to come do your thing, we're good.
I'll just take 2 seconds right over here. That man's a godsend. He really has saved currently 16 or 18, 17 restaurants' lives. I was very, very fortunate to meet Bobby in the beginning and a gentleman by the name of Caleb from Top Water Solutions. Thank you. And they so quickly got on this, and we knew that if it was just going to be us and my 4 restaurants, we couldn't afford it, so we started calling restaurateurs. And Sean Cudmore here from my company can explain to you how we did this as far as the financial part goes. But every time we add restaurants, the price comes down. We're all blessed to be open because of what he's been doing, and the science that's behind this is working. I mean, we have clean, potable water. So I would highly encourage you to speak to this man when you're done. And if you want, Sean Cudmore from my company can explain to you the cost of everything, but it's working, and it's saving a lot of people's lives. So I'm blessed to have gotten to meet him and these folks from Top Water Solutions. So thank you.
And next, you'll see on that sheet, it's, I don't know if it's Reladune or Reliadune, and Suncoast are actually the same company. So Danny Parrish is here to talk about their operation.
Sorry, I do apologize. The sales rep that's supposed to be here, he's in Mississippi giving birth to, his daughter's giving birth right now. So I'm not a salesperson. I can tell you about the operation side of it. We provide tanks all the way from 10,000 to 1,000 gallons. We have pumps, generators, anything that could assist on it. We do also do fuel if needing fuel, which that's not a problem right now. But that's about all I can say about it. Like I said, I'm not a speaker. I'm just straight up. So we have filtration system if needed. We're bringing water in from Hickory, and we're bringing it in from Greenville. So I have several tanker trucks just running back and forth all day long. All right? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have the organization called Winslow. James Butler is here to speak on their behalf. Thanks.
My name is James. I'm the owner of WNC Independent Labs. We are a local business. I live in Weaverville. I work here. Traditionally, we cover nine counties. We do pretty much anything with water. We're licensed plumbers, licensed septic contractors, licensed well contractors. The other thing that gives us a little bit of a slight edge is we are an EPA certified drinking water analysis lab. So when the federal government or municipalities need testing, we are one of the companies that gets used. We've also been here for more than a decade testing wells to make sure that they're good. So pretty much anything with water, we do it, and have a good deal of experience with that. We're also licensed through the North Carolina State Lab of Public Health as a drinking water analysis lab as well. So any water that we deliver, there's been a test that's been run on that. The uncomfortable truth is that nobody can deliver water to you and say this water is safe to drink. Because when the water is picked up, the test starts. The test is a 24-hour IDEX call alert test. You can get it in 18 hours, but whatever. We will know the results of that bacteria test in 24 hours. Every delivery that we do has a test associated with it, so 24 hours later, you get the proof that the water is good. We've been hauling out of Weaverville, North Carolina, so it is locally sourced. Weaverville is fully operational. Their water is fantastic. It's chlorinated, smells just like Asheville City water did. It's a good water source, and it's local. So the money that you pay goes to the city of Weaverville. Weaverville has been very, very gracious in getting us water, mainly because we fixed their water plant when it was damaged. So I asked for a favor and I got it, okay? But I could not agree more with Mr. Moody. Whenever you guys are installing these systems, UV is absolutely necessary, okay? Doesn't matter where you get the water from. If I lived on city water and nothing happened, I would have a UV light on my system, okay, as a just in case. Bacteria likes to grow in stagnant water, okay? You know, you got anaerobic and aerobic bacteria, if we remember back from high school, with oxygen and without oxygen. Typically the ones without oxygen are the ones that hurt us, okay? So standing water is bad, okay? And these cisterns, you know, if you bring in a 10,000 gallon cistern, it takes you 2 weeks. Chlorine is a volatile compound. It's going to evaporate out. Now the water's not chlorinated. Now bacteria start to do their thing, okay? I've got a little sign above my desk that says, wash your hands and say your prayers because germs and Jesus are everywhere, okay? So UV lights are important. We do tanks, we do hauling, we do pumps, UVs, whatever you need. It's really not important who you use. Find the best solution that works for you. This is a math problem. Okay, but I hope you guys stay open. I've been eating in Asheville every single day, so thank you.
Thank you all for the information. If there are any questions that you'd like to raise about the potable water situations, any questions? Yes? Okay, would you send that to me, and then yes, we'll include that. Thank you so much for that. Yes?
What's the half-life chlorine? Pretty quick. If you were to pour an 8-ounce glass of city water in a glass, stick it in the fridge, come back the next day, the chlorine is gone, okay? I don't know the exact time that it leaves, but it does. It has a lot to do with the surface area, so the larger surface area that you have on the top, the faster it's going to leave.
Now I'm worried about all those 9 gallons of water sitting on my counter at home. Yes. It's a conversation. You know, there's lots of conversations about how we can get some more grants and, you know, from the government, and appreciate what Maggie had to share. And also, we are talking about the private sector, so those conversations are happening now. Yeah.
Like one of the water purveyors, like one of the water purveyors mentioned, it's definitely a math problem. You know, the upfront cost $600 to about $1,000 a day just for water pumping delivery. You know, doing the math then from operations, right? What does that make sense if you're going to do a couple $1,000s in sales, right? With the lack of tourism.
Yeah, that's definitely a decision that everyone has to make. Some of the providers that presented today have costs that are less than $1,000 a day, so I urge you to reach out to these providers and get some more information.
Liz?
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that all of us that are getting water.
Okay, wait, hold on one sec.
Sorry, this is the people on the live stream can hear.
I'd be remiss in not bringing up the fact, and maybe you can help us with this, because I know you're working so diligently. The fact is, we're getting this water, we're putting these systems together, but we're all paying taxes on this water. There's a tax implication there that would be really great if any of our city leaders could help us, like, make that go away. It would.
Lets us manage our own taxes.
I'm sorry, what?
I was being a little flippant that, you know, Raleigh is really the one that enables us to talk about sales.
Okay, well, then let's talk to Raleigh. But I'm just bringing it up that we all still pay taxes on this water that we're using to keep this city alive, so.
I'm making a note of that right now, Eric. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna shift gears. Am I doing anything, or am I messing everything up, Sherry?
I think you're good. I think it's coming back up.
We can go
There
ahead.
you go.
We can flip it to that already. It doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah.
You go ahead and start, and let me get this working.
Okay, okay. So I just wanted to take a few minutes and just share with you what the Asheville Independent Restaurant Association has been doing since we were all able to regroup and pull ourselves together shortly after the storm. So Megan Rogers, who's our executive director, is taking a well-deserved, hopefully a very relaxing few days off. She has been working tirelessly, and otherwise she would be here. So I'm glad that she's had time to connect with family again. So in the days after the storm, AIR has acted as a clearinghouse of information, ensuring that our members and the greater restaurant community in Asheville area had the news and the resources that they needed. Once communication was restored, our restaurants sprang into action to do what they do best, feed people. We facilitated connections to various organizations, providing meals for first responders, essential workers, and the community. Additionally, we assisted in sourcing donations of much-needed to-go containers and cooking supplies, helping our food providers meet the needs of those they serve. Many organizations have helped feed our community. And I'd like to take this opportunity, I'm gonna choke up. I want to thank World Central Kitchen, who I know are in Spain now because of what's happened in southern Spain, and it's just heartbreaking. That's all I can say. In the second week, our response to Hurricane Helene, our focus shifted to strategies for helping restaurants reopen. We held several meetings with the Buncombe County Health Department to discuss this. As the situation evolved and more restaurants were able to open, we continue to provide updated service and advice and guidance. In those weeks following the hurricane, we have advocated for support for our restaurants and small business community at the local, state, and federal levels. We have requested business grants, forgivable loans, greater coverage of expenses by FEMA to assist in our community's rebuilding efforts, and increased resources for both our small businesses and their employees. We have, I sent out, as the chair of AIR, letters to every single elected official in North Carolina in the legislature. Also sent it to Senator Budd, Senator Tillis, Congressman Chuck Edwards, and they have all responded. We've heard back. We've actually in person met with Senator Budd's team. Unfortunately, because of the world we live in right now, that the federal government is not doing anything. They won't even consider a conversation until November 12th. And with the world being upside down, we have no idea when those conversations will become fruitful. So, but we are advocating. For the last 3 weeks, we've been working with Arts AVL and the GBX group on an emergency relief grant program for our restaurant workforce and the artist community. At AIR, we know how important our workforce is in rebuilding the economy. These grants will help offset costs for our employees as they're able to come back to work. The WNC Tip It Forward initiative was launched this week. AIR is now accepting applications from restaurant workers in the Asheville metro area, which includes Buncombe, Haywood, Henderson, and Madison counties. The initiative offers $500 emergency grant funds to individuals to help cover expenses such as rent, food, utilities, childcare, and more. The grant applications will be reviewed on an ongoing basis as funding permits. You can see, I think we have. You're gonna have to fix that. Okay, but just for your, okay, we'll pull up the sheet so you can see the QR code and everything, but it's to donate, it's wnctip.org, and to apply, it's airasheville.org/WNC Tip It Forward. So anyway, I appreciate all of you, and we are here to help not just our AIR restaurants, and not just restaurants. I mean, we want to provide services to anyone who wants to reopen. So please reach out. We have great leaders in this town with Go Local and Sherry and the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Association. So please utilize all of us. We can get you the accurate information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. And thanks for the water, potable water suppliers. And I think they're all going to be here afterwards to talk specifics regarding your own locations. I'm not for sure what's going on right here because I'm seeing the slides here. So I'm gonna take a minute, and I think I'm gonna go ahead. Dodie, do you want to? Dodie and Tiffany. Dodie Stevens is the Vice President of Marketing for Explore Asheville, and Tiffany, and I'm sorry I don't know how to slide your last name, is Director of Grants for Explore Asheville, and they're gonna plug in their computer while I'm gonna try and figure out what's going on with mine, and they're gonna give you Explore Asheville updates on both their grant as well as what they're doing from a marketing standpoint. There you go.
Say a little prayer.
I'm gonna move over here.
Are we up?
Yeah, it takes a second, but it looks, there you go. Yay.
Woo-hoo. I would also like to thank everyone who was so generous with, well, my son would like to thank everyone who was so generous with their candy last night. Biggest haul ever, and he was very grateful for it, and so was I. A little bit of normalcy. I'm Dodie Stevens. I'm the VP of Marketing at Explore Asheville, and as Sherry said, this is Tiffany Thacker, our Director of Grants. We're gonna walk you through, we'll start with a little bit of just a quick timeline, but we're gonna try to go fast to really focus on the resources and some important updates that we have for you businesses here today. This is simply a response, timeline of the response, what we were doing in the days before Hurricane Helene, leading up to that. Some of the resources and relief efforts that were launched, including Always Asheville Fund, Love Asheville from Afar, which we'll hit on, and Concert for Carolina, which raised $24.5 million and growing for our community, and then to where we are today in launching and opening the application process for the Always Asheville Fund. So more on that in just a moment. I want to thank several people in this room for this collaborative effort called Love Asheville from Afar. On day 15, in partnership with the Downtown Association, Go Local, AIR, Arts AVL, the Chamber, Made by Mountains, Mountain BizWorks, and JDE & Co., we launched an online shop connecting to e-commerce and as well as a donation platform. It builds on a framework that we had deployed during the pandemic, so we had some of that ready to go. And it started with 320, and I haven't checked the numbers today, but at the top of this week, we had 650 merchants, from artists to makers to tour companies. Someone stopped me on the way in from Black Mountain to tell me how meaningful and useful that's been for her business, and I will get choked up. So with this, understanding that in this moment, there are just a spectrum of resources available to you all to lift e-commerce. We kept the barrier to entry intentionally low with links to everything from a gift card for a future business to your retail offerings online to a simple link to donate to your GoFundMes. We are still accepting those, and I will give you a QR code at the end of this if you'd like to join and haven't yet. Just great feedback from the community and also visitors who are saying they're going to use this to plan their next trip. And we've also are in the process of removing the branding and our messaging from this to create a web template that we are providing to contiguous Western North Carolina counties and DMOs so that they can do something similar for their communities if they'd like. All right, so I'll hand it over to Tiffany to update you on the Always Asheville Fund.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here to talk about the Always Asheville Fund with you this morning. We at Explore Asheville know how important our small businesses are to our community and the role that our small businesses play in making this place so special and unique and the place that we all love as residents, but also what drives our visitors to want to come to this area and shop at our stores and eat at our restaurants. So it was really important for us to be able to do what we can to be able to support our small businesses in their reopening and start bringing in revenue again. So we stood up the Always Asheville Fund. We got the application live yesterday to be able to provide emergency micro grants to our small businesses to support their reopening expenses. As of today, we have over $750,000 available to award. We will be awarding grants between $5,000 and $10,000 to support reopening expenses as well as operational expenses. And we're anticipating to be able to make between 75 and 150 awards at this time. We are also continuing to fundraise, and so that number may grow. To be eligible for the Always Asheville Fund, businesses must be small, independent businesses between 2 and 100 employees. The business must be able to provide a direct in-person visitor experience. If your business provides lodging, either whole or in part, those businesses are not eligible. Businesses must be physically located in Buncombe County, and you must be able to demonstrate that your business was impacted by Hurricane Helene, including but not limited to business interruption, physical damage, and or loss of equipment or inventory. And then finally, the applicant must be able to provide a clear plan to reopen quickly, along with a detailed description of how you plan to use those grant funds. We know that businesses need cash in hand and they need it quickly, and so we're going to be operating this fund with a very expedited timeline. Applications opened yesterday. The deadline to apply is Monday, November 11th. We'll be hosting office hours in Explore Asheville's office at 27 College Place every day next week between 2:30 and 4:30. We plan to be able to make award notifications by Friday, November 22nd, and start making award disbursements that following Monday, with the goal of getting all disbursements out by December 6th. We're also tracking all of the resources that are available to our small businesses and our partners. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but we're tracking grants for businesses, loans, as well as stipends and grants for individuals. You can find a list of all these resources that we'll be keeping updated at always.exploreasheville.com. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Dodie. Yes.
Go ahead.
To prove that there's a financial need, what does that look like to prove that?
We are asking for P&Ls, and then
Okay.
also just describing narrative of like
Okay.
what financial or physical loss did you have during this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm available after this. We also have Mackenzie Provost from our team that will stay around to answer any questions that you'll have about the Always Asheville Fund.
All right, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about messaging and marketing and how that's evolving. Inside of this crisis, our communications have been evolving day to day and sometimes inside of a day. Ahead of the storm, we activated a weather advisory on exploreasheville.com, which was echoing the cautionary messages of officials, including resources to locals seeking shelter and info on available lodging. That evolved into a post-Helene travel alert, lining up with NCDOT and Visit North Carolina official messages to share impacts and travel restrictions. With the impact of the storm being so broad and to help people understand the geography, which is going to continue to be a challenge for us, and the range of impacts, Visit North Carolina created with DOT an interactive map. The state's travel advisory map color codes counties based on several factors: DOT road data, cell service, electricity, running water, open businesses, and at DOT's approval, the status for Buncombe County moved from red to yellow on the 19th, signaling travel, but plan ahead. So that shift in the official directive, alongside community milestones like Biltmore announcing their reopening, Asheville Downtown Association businesses opening with red balloons, the North Carolina Arboretum opening, has allowed us to build on our message of opening in stages and pockets, with the important context that progress is being made slowly but surely and safely, and we are encouraging customers to support local businesses by visiting respectfully with heart and patience and careful planning. And Explore Asheville aims to be a source of that information moving forward. Very much in this moment, the aim is to strike the balance between supporting businesses who are reopening and articulating the areas that need more time. For example, and there's been evolutions in that. For example, as the River Arts District artists announced, an area we're now calling the Upper River Arts District, announced that they're doing a reopening on the 9th and 10th. That is mandating that we need to shift our message to support them. And so that's what we are looking at, that nuanced messaging to support those that border and are able to open around high impact zones. So we are building out resources to be able to articulate that better. So I wanted to share with you how we're doing that with new systems and communications platforms. Well, this slide would have been helpful to share with you guys as I was talking. But we'll move on. I'll share this with Sherry afterwards to send around. Actually, we will go back. So in the days after Helene, we launched the Always Asheville Hub. So that started with that travel advisory and the travel info pages, and then we quickly added the Always Asheville Fund, Love Asheville from Afar, and built that out with navigation. It was kind of like building legs to a stool. All of that was constructed in a temporary microsite because the hurricane necessitated a temporary pause in launching our new website. So while the team has been building all of this out, underneath that, we've been working to get that new, more robust, more flexible website up and running, and we launched it earlier this week. So I'm going to share some of that here with you today. So here we are on the homepage. You can see that it now is integrating the Love Asheville from Afar, the Helene resources up in front and center. It's just such a better user experience for visitors to be able to find news and stories and information. You can see how that alert kind of hangs with you to guide them to travel information. This clicks through to the travel information page, and we are going to be able to build on what has kind of been more of a narrative page with better storytelling maps now that we're in the new website. One of the main reasons, and why I wanted to share this with you all today, that we worked so hard to get this new website up is because of its capability around listings. So these are building on our previous dynamic listings for businesses on Explore Asheville. You'll see when it scrolls below here that we have, and this has actually changed since this was pulled forward. We've added status options. Initially, it was open, temporarily closed, and closed. Now we've added as a default status option for businesses, call ahead. And so we are proactively reaching out to businesses. We are looking at your web pages. Actually, Mackenzie in the back of the room is doing this throughout the meeting. I looked over her shoulder. She has been trying to do this for you all. But we are also asking for you all to be aware of this and to let us know so that we can change with you. And so from this and from this platform, we're going to be able to build maps and just be able to better articulate as we reopen in stages and pockets what that actually looks like. So we're just very excited, and so just have to give a shout out to the team that's been working so hard to communicate on top of building something that's going to support us in the long run. And lastly, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot on some of our marketing messaging and efforts to promote. So we have received this amazing outpouring from our media, our advertising partners, of in-kind offers to support relief efforts. So those are some of the things that we were able to activate in the early days. For example, right now we have a campaign running with Garden and Gun that was sharing support news for Concert for Carolina, the Always Asheville Fund, and driving visits for Love Asheville from Afar. It included branded content and newsletters and socials, 1 million impressions, and a value of $102,000. We also, through Travel Desk, did digital banners and geo-targeted the Concert for Carolinas with Always Asheville messaging, and High Point Market with information on Love Asheville from Afar. Just shout out to Neil Tracy at Edible Asheville, who reached out with an offer to connect the Love Asheville from Afar effort to the Edible community magazines in 20 cities all over the U.S. So that's going to be running through the holidays, which will just be great promotion for that effort. And there's more to come. We are actively re-envisioning and restructuring our existing paid media plan to leverage these in-kind partnerships and the support of the full weight of our paid media budget to tell the story of reopening safely and shoulder to shoulder with you all. So Biltmore, we all know, has long been a motivator for visitors, and so currently we're in the works to collaborate with them on bookend spots in television with reopening messaging as we head toward the holiday season. Going side by side with them will amplify our impact. Also, we've been in touch with the awesome folks at iHeartRadio Asheville, who have offered up a campaign for us to get the word out about the Always Asheville Fund application, in addition to Love Asheville from Afar as a great holiday effort through the holiday season with Christmas music. So there's much more happening that I can't articulate yet today, but I just wanted to give you all a snapshot of where we're at and where we're going, and just thank you all for continuing to reach out to us with your news and updates. And I'm going to share this final slide here with a few takeaways. So if you're interested in joining Love Asheville from Afar, you can scan the QR code. Or you can just go to the page on exploreasheville.com and click in a link there to fill out the form. It's fairly easy. To update your business status, partner support at exploreasheville.com is an easy way to get in touch with Mackenzie, or you can find her in the back of the room. And also just continue to share your stories and news with us. We want all of that at news@exploreasheville.com. Thank you all. Happy to take any questions.
I'm here on behalf of the merchants of downtown Asheville. We had a meeting this week. I'm curious if there's a page like the restaurant page specific to shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Retail, there's a page just like that that says, are you open or closed?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. We feel like we would like to highlight some of the downtown businesses because we were not impacted in the same way, and we don't have the challenges of water like some of the restaurants do. And we don't feel like we have really a voice of advocacy, so we're creating one for the merchants of downtown Asheville. We would love to be seen as a valuable partner in tourism and inviting people back. So we are really interested in getting out the message that a lot of us are opening. Let people know that they can shop, and also if we could partner with getting some spotlight on holiday event shopping. We're planning a big Thanksgiving weekend, shop small, so we'd really like to get some spotlight on that, as well as partnering to get micro events permitted downtown for, like Wall Street wants to do a weekly Sunday market that would also invite River Arts District artists who are impact to be able to come out and have a space to sell during the holidays.
Yeah.
So in any way that we could ask you to also support retail during this time, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's been front and center in our mind with the launch of the new site, because the capabilities there are so much better. One thing I didn't share today is that the event platform here is so much more robust for us to be able to pull through. So even if people are sent over to a travel information page, they can start to see the life in our community there through the events that we're able to integrate onto those pages. And yeah, they're heard and here to hear more.
Hi, Dodie. Susan Applin Curate. Could you talk about the Concert for Carolina, the wonderful funds that were raised, and how those are getting allocated?
Mm-hmm.
Will any of those monies go to small business recovery?
So Concert for Carolina was a conversation that was evolving. Well, we've been talking to Luke Combs for a while and about other things, and little did we know that that conversation would land where it needed to, with the opportunity to join as a presenting sponsor for the Concert for Carolina, so that the way that the two lead artists in that effort, Eric Church and Luke Combs, set it up was that the proceeds, 100%, every piece of that concert is donated, split down the middle between their two charities of choice. Eric Church is from the Banner Elk area and has his own charitable arm called Chief Cares. So 50% of those proceeds are going there. The other 50% going to local charities. Luke Combs is from here, spent time with his mother volunteering at Manna growing up. So the charities that he selected were very intentionally relief-based here in town, including Manna, Eblin, Samaritan's Purse, and I'm probably going to blank on the last one. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right.
Thank you so much, Dodie and Tiffany. Really appreciate both of your updates and everything Explore Asheville is doing for our community. I'm going to take this over here and work on my computer. Christine, is now a good time for you to come up and talk about the grant? I'll let you give all the details.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
Hey friends, Christine Locker here with Mountain BizWorks. So many things happening to try to support the business community, you all, in this time. And also there are so many words, and all the words kind of sound the same. So I want to just really dial it in so that it feels really clear. So WNC Strong is sort of the umbrella of partnerships, of folks who are working together really diligently behind the scenes to make business resources more seamless. Okay, so when you see WNC Strong, you know that it will be sort of this umbrella, sort of brand or word for the following resources. 1, business loans, rapid recovery loans. I'll talk about those in just a sec. 2, business grants, money that doesn't have to be repaid. I'll talk about that more too. And 3, business resources. So getting connected with help if you need to figure out how to pivot your business still, or maybe what it would take to rebuild if, depending on your level of impact. Lots and lots of different support happening across the state. Okay, so WNC Strong, 3 sort of pillars for that stool. Okay, so the first, I want to talk about business recovery loans. That loan program has been set up. We got it off the ground in 9 days, which I sort of feel like I wish that I could say to people like, hey, I can run a mile in 3 minutes, or like something that would translate, but really incredible effort by the team and by partners trying to make resources available. Golden Leaf Foundation put up $7.5 million to that fund to begin with. Excited to announce that the state put $50 million or approved $50 million last week for that fund. And so that looks like, it's called the WNC Strong Helene Business Recovery Fund. You can find more information about it on Mountain BizWorks website. Those loans are 1% interest only for the first year, and then after that they term out for 5 more years at 6%. There are no fees, there's no prepayment penalty, trying to make money as fast and available to folks as we possibly can. Right now we have approved, or we have dispersed, I think just under $7 million, which is like money in hands that y'all have that is at work in the community. We've approved about $13 million, just waiting for those state funds to hit so that we can get them out the door, but trying to do as much of the paperwork and processing on the front end as we can so that when those funds become available, we can make them available to you. Oh, look, that's me. Thanks. And that money is meant really to be a bridge, but it's meant to be a bridge to help you to get to an insurance payout or an SBA loan. Just a note about the SBA loans. I'm going to put this hand over here as the visual reminder for what that is. That's the federal business loan. I think around 4% interest rates for 30 years. I mean, this is the money you want to be connecting to if you need like larger funding for rebuilding. But this WNC Strong Fund over here is the bridge just to help with meeting some of those immediate needs and expenses, up to $100,000 based on your EBITDA from the previous year. All of the documents that you need for that application are listed really clearly on the website. There's an email address and a phone number that you can call if you're having problems with that. It's all right there, WNC Strong Helene Business Recovery Fund. Okay, good. I'm happy to answer questions about that afterwards. Next. Actually, let's go to resources next. Resources are, listen, we have one of the most robust small business ecosystems of any state in the United States. It's amazing. We have the Small Business Center Network that's based in our community colleges. We have the SBTDC for employers who have 10 or more employees, based in the university system. We have Main Street directors. We have, this whole room full of support folks. So really, really robust team of people who are really wanting to organize and coordinate to make it easy for you to access what their expertise has. So you can find, let's see, I pulled up a whole bunch of websites before I started, but let's see if I can find them all. Okay. So if you go to mountainbizworks.org/Helene, you can find all of these resources and find your way if you want to just come back for those things later. But there's one phone number, email address, website that you can go to that you can just say like, hey, I need help. And then they will do an intake with you and figure out the best place to get you help. And so just as a note, I've been participating in the Governor's Business Recovery Collaborative, which is all of the statewide organizations really working on behalf of y'all. And these big state agencies are all working, they're getting trained in how to understand what the resources are that are available. They're working together. We have folks from the East Coast that are helping, business counselors from the Eastern North Carolina who are helping to field requests and intakes from folks over here so that the whole state is leaning in to help us. So just so you know that support is there and people all across the state are really pulling for you. Okay, that's business resources. If you need support from like a business counselor on like, what do? I need to, I just need some help even thinking through the steps. That phone number can help you to think through those steps. Okay, and now this middle pillar of the stool, business grants. Oh, do you want me to just tell it to you? I will. 1-800-228-8443. 1-800-228-8443. Okay, and so business grants. What's shaping up is that there are so many folks who are doing amazing work in raising funds for grants. We recognize that loans are not going to be the only financial tool that people need for recovery, right? Many of us are still carrying COVID loans. And so, just so you know that all of the partners I have spoken to have been very united on that front, whether we're talking with our state legislators or we're, meeting to create strategies for how to help y'all to dig out of this. So under that WNC Strong umbrella, there is going to be, so there's a website coming. It's so close, y'all. I was really hoping to tell it to you right now, but my comms person said, please don't. All the links aren't for sure working. But hopefully by Monday of next week, this one WNC Strong website will be up, which will help you to navigate each of these 3 pillars, okay? Because there are lots of great grants available, like the one we just heard about from Explore Asheville. There's another great grant that also launched this week that is called the Western North Carolina Small Business Initiative. It's very long and hard and boring, but you can find it on our website and our socials. We want to help you to connect with it. We are hosting a series of webinars next week. If you want to just listen in to hear more about how you could be best positioned to get one of these particular grants. This particular grant, I'm going to tell you about this one thing, right? This is just one grant, so don't get your feelings hurt if it won't apply to you, because we promise that we are trying to leverage many more grant programs besides just this one. But this was an initiative of Dogwood Health Trust. They're collaborating with some other CDFIs locally or whatever. And this grant is for only businesses who have less than $1 million in revenue, which is maybe not all of you, but it's up to $25,000. Applications are open until the day before Thanksgiving, which is November 27th, because I heard we're going to have water on November 28th. And so we're hosting a series of webinars next week, one on Monday, one on Thursday. Just tune into Mountain BizWorks socials. You can find more there, and you can get those updates as they're coming out. We're trying to make sure that everyone has access to what's happening across the ecosystem. But back to that WNC Strong, where we know that there's going to be a much bigger need for grant funds. And so we are continuing to raise money. We started out with a goal of $20 million. After seeing the need and hearing from you all, we have raised our goal to $50 million. We have been having meetings. I'm missing a meeting right now, but we have been having meetings and talking with folks and getting the word out, working with folks locally and nationally who are really all pulling for you and trying to figure out how we can just do the Plinko board to get money down into the communities where it is needed. So happy to answer questions if anybody has any. I think they want you to use the mic.
So that 1% loan.
Yes.
So if you have a COVID loan, it's not for my business because I work with businesses as a business counselor. And can you get that 1% loan to pay off a COVID loan? Or can you use a grant to pay off a COVID loan?
If you qualify for grant funding, there's going to be lots of different grants in the ecosystem, and they will all have different rules. But that grant funding will be, most grant programs work and here's a check, and then you just use that money for whatever your most pressing needs are. Probably for each of the grant programs we're talking about, you'll have to show that you've had impact from the storm,
Sure.
and there will be some other little I's you have to cross and T's you have to
But can
dot.
you roll a COVID loan into the 1% loan to get rid of it? Because the COVID loans were, I
Into the-
think, 3 or 4%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in a year, it's going to term out to 6%. So
Oh,
everybody
6%?
has to make their own choices, but
They can't do it lower than 6%? I mean, that's a lot in a catastrophe.
I would like to be clear that the state government wants people to use those SBA loans. This is a federal resource that's created for this explicit purpose, and it's affordable good money. And so the state is not going to be providing resources that are going to be cheaper than this because they want people to be choosing this. And so
But it's
many,
still-
go ahead.
I just want to say, I was here in '04 doing disaster loans for SBA. They were like a lot less. I know the interest rates are higher nowadays, but businesses are saying, and the government has to listen to them, they cannot afford a 6% loan when they're paying off a COVID loan. I mean, why can't they lower the interest rate?
I hear you, and I'm not in
Seriously.
charge of as much as you might
but,
think.
But as a CDFI, and I know
Yeah.
there are about 3 or 4 in town, they have to lobby for that. 6% is too high. It's just too high.
The SBA loan is 4%. That's
Right.
the federal government. You'll be shocked to know that Kamala doesn't even know my name yet, but she's going to get there. And our loan, I'm happy to talk with you about it afterwards, or if you have businesses that want to think through what their financial commitments are and what they're really capable of doing financially, I'm happy to help connect them with business support services.
There's just so much debt from COVID
I
and
know,
now this.
and that's why we're being a loud voice for grant funding
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
You know that EIDL loans have a hardship.
Yes.
So people should be taking advantage of that. Yeah.
Just in the spirit right now of moving on, Christine, do you have an email address that people can follow up with you, or that 800 number you gave? Is that the best place to be able to contact and ask these types of questions? Just in the spirit of moving on. Sorry.
Folks are welcome. We have there's an email address that's wncstrong@mountainbizworks.org, and that's a great place to ask questions if you have specific questions about the loan, the WNC Strong Helene Business Recovery Fund. There will be a website coming out imminently to help folks navigate all the available grants that are open now and that are continuing. That will be information that's continuing to change as more resources become available. And you can also find at mountainbizworks.org/Helene a list of all the steps for business recovery, including links for how to apply for those SBA loans and how to find the phone number to reach business counselors.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
so much, Christine. I know that you're running late for a meeting. I really, really appreciate you helping us out here with that information. Just in the spirit, we are running a little bit long today. We had a big agenda that we wanted to get information to you. We have 2 more. We have Casey and Hayden. Casey is, but this is what, I wanted to go back to this. This was the slide that I couldn't get up for Liz. This is regarding the WNC Tip It Forward. If you wanted to take a snapshot of either one of those QR codes. And then Casey, do you want to go ahead and come up and talk about Mental Health Mondays? Thanks.
Did you have this?
I do. I'm
Awesome.
gonna move it on.
Take your time.
Did everybody get
Great.
that who needed to get it?
Good morning, everyone. Casey Gilbert, Vice President of Public Policy for the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce. It's been a pleasure to be here with you every week, and I'm so glad to see you again. And I really want to give a shout out to 828 News Now. It's so helpful to have the recordings of these. I've been sharing them out after the event, so just want to thank our media partner. Just a few reminders about what the Chamber of Commerce is doing to help the business community right now. Again, we have the Business Recovery Center where you can meet with folks from the SBA, Mountain BizWorks, the SBTDC, Colton Groom Financial, et cetera. You do not have to be a member of the chamber right now to use these services. And we also have an emergency workspace. So if you've been displaced, you need some good Wi-Fi, you just want to come be in community for the day, we can host up to 70 people a day in our emergency workspace. So we're at 36 Montford Ave. Please come see us. Just wanted to also let people know, in partnership with All Souls Counseling, we're going to be doing Mental Health Mondays. And I also left some paperwork at the desk. There's a whole list of events coming up, including a SMART series next week about how to find gratitude in the midst of all this tragedy. So again, just invite you to stay in touch with us, utilize our space, attend our events. And then also just want to recognize everyone pooling together and trying to find money for small businesses. As you heard from Councilor Ullman, the city released almost $1 million from their CDBG grant fund to be able to provide for small grants. The county is making an announcement today with an additional $1 million. As you heard, Dogwood has got $10 million in grants. Explore Asheville talked about their fund, AIR and Arts AVL. So this is just to reiterate that every single organization in this community is fighting for you to try to find money. And the Chamber of Commerce is also halfway to our $1 million goal. So we have just over $500,000 now in our Mountain Strong Fund. And I'm here today to let you know that what we realized, and you've heard how complicated it is to build eligibility criteria, to build out an application portal. So we're gonna be identifying a grant partner to help us manage that $500,000. And I hope we'll be able to announce that in the next week or two. So as soon as we can get that money out the door, that $500,000 is gonna join in with all of this other money that's out there to help our small businesses. Just a couple of more things. If you have experienced a denial for business interruption insurance, I've been in touch with some folks in DC. We're working on this. As you heard last week, we had the insurance commissioner here, Mike Causey, but we know that people have experienced business interruption insurance denials. If that has happened to you, please let me know. I need to be collecting information about this so that we can get some advocacy going. So cgilbert@ashevillechamber.org, please let me know. This week, we met with folks from Senator Budd's staff and also the Senate Committee for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. We also met with FEMA. As you heard from Liz, we are advocating for you in Raleigh, we're advocating for you in DC, and we keep saying water and grants, water and grants. This is what we are trying to get across. And the last thing I want to say is just a reminder to vote. We've got a big day next Tuesday. We've got local elections that matter. I know there's a lot of attention on what's going to happen in our presidential election, but if you have seen our local officials are here, boots on the ground, it matters. Make sure you vote. And we do have bonds on the ballot. These will be an essential part of recovery. So I just want to remind you, please vote yes on all 4 bond initiatives in Asheville. We will need that money to build a strong and resilient community. Thanks to all the partners, all the organizations, all the businesses. We are in this together, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Casey, and thanks to the Chamber for everything that you're doing to support. And Hayden from the Downtown Association.
Thank you, everyone, for being here again. Hayden Plemons with the Asheville Downtown Association. I just wanted to give an update. Yesterday, the Halloween block party was a culmination of 3 Doors Open downtown events that we've been promoting. We had such great turnout and participation from businesses in the first 2 Saturdays. And if you were out yesterday, you saw what a joy it was to see so many families and kids and even dogs downtown. It was a really great event. I hope you all played a part in it. I was shocked and excited to see how many restaurants were kind of packed full, so I hope that was your restaurants as well. We gave out 18,000 pieces of candy to businesses across downtown and to give out to the kids, and I'm working on getting some foot traffic data, but I know that Asheville Museum of Science saw nearly 600 visitors to their doors yesterday, which is incredible. Speaking of that foot traffic data, we're working with our data partner, Placer AI, to really better understand, what is the story we need to be telling about downtown? What is the data? Who's coming? How often are they coming? You know, what is the difference between last October and this October, to really begin to say, hey, it's worth it, restaurants, it's worth it, downtown businesses, to open your doors and stay open from this time to this time, or telling the story, continuing to tell the story nationally and internationally about what the difference is in foot traffic between last October. We all know it, but we need to be able to put some numbers behind it as well. We are also working with the city planning office to work on some temporary use permits and expediting permits for folks who have been displaced from their businesses throughout Western North Carolina, to be able to easily get them into brick and mortar locations in downtown if that's what they'd like to do. And if you have any questions about what we're working on there, Steph Dahl is here and can speak to you after. I want to encourage you, Dodie mentioned updating your hours or call ahead on their platform, but I've noticed just in my own kind of wanting to grab lunch that it would be super helpful for those of you who are open or have established new temporary hours to make sure you update that on Google. I know that it doesn't, that didn't really come naturally to me, but just make sure that we're updating our hours on Google. It's super helpful for folks. As soon as I post online that a business is open and a visitor goes to that business and they're not open, I get the email. All right. Halloween block party. We'll go to the next one, Sherry. Thank you. I am so thrilled to announce our Winter in Downtown program. Now that it's not Halloween anymore, Winter in Downtown has officially launched, and it is gorgeous, and it's going to be a blast. So Winter in Downtown, we are starting to install holiday lights throughout downtown next week, along with some really gorgeous banners to let people know about Winter in Downtown, the happenings. Direct them to ashevilledowntown.org/winterindowntown, because it's going to be a hub for all things happening in this winter. That will include the Winter Windows competition, which we had initially kind of built out for our members to get kind of a freemium model, but we've opened that up to all downtown businesses, regardless of your membership status with the Downtown Association. If you are planning events, if you have things going on in downtown, you can add them to our Winter in Downtown calendar. We're going to be planning some, Asheville Walking Tours has offered to give tours of the winter windows for visitors and folks who are local to Asheville, participate in that. And we've already got some really great media partners in Asheville Media Group and WLOS who will be promoting the Winter in Downtown programming. In addition to Winter Windows, we are going to have the Winter Jamboree, which is a pivot from the holiday parade. And so that's taking place in Pack Square. It's going to be kind of an all-day affair, some performance groups that had previously participated in the parade, and then all of your businesses or community organizations are welcome to join in on the fun. And I think there's going to be some really good music to close us out for the Holiday Jamboree, which is very exciting. So just a lot going on for Winter in Downtown. And we hope that you guys will sign up and let us know how you're participating, when you're participating, so we can begin to culminate that really great all-access point for Winter in Downtown. Awesome. And it's 11:30. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm the culmination of this. There are some forms at the front, so if you have any questions or want to pick up some more information, please do that. Yes. Thanks.
We have one more. That's okay. And Jason, if I could ask you to come up, he is with 828 News Now and just has a quick brief thing he'd like to say. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you, Jason.
Hello, my name is Jacob. I'm from the Asheville Media Group, 828 News Now. We are right here in Asheville with you, just down the road on Patton Avenue. We have been live streaming these events for folks to be watching from wherever they're at if they could not make it here with us in person. Just as we are live streaming right now, we will be live streaming on Tuesday for election coverage starting at 8 p.m. If you are looking for a place to find all of your election news, please check us out on Facebook and YouTube. If you are looking for a place to have your news espoused, we are going to be around the room after this is concluded. You can look for our badges. We're happy to speak with all of you about our news organization. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And now with that, we conclude our program. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. Appreciate you all. Lots of people still hanging around. Don't forget our potable water suppliers if there's anybody you want to talk to. Thank you so much. Thank you, 828 News Now.